Hello, my name is Ryan D'Amelio. I am currently a student in LED 440 at JMU, and this is for my final project. I am doing a series of videos because I was originally going to do a poster, but unfortunately, I needed to pay money in order to do it. So we're going to introduce them through YouTube videos. So my first video I was planning to discuss with the class was going to be about define three or more different queuing systems. Now, what is a queuing system? It really is the fundamental science of how we hear words and how we interpret them on the paper. So, how students can see a word and what goes on in their head, like how they read it, what it sounds like, what it looks like compared to other languages they might know, and really just the building blocks in their mind to turn that word on the paper into a coherent sound that they can say. Now, many scientists, the one I reference is Dr. Janet M. Hughes. She says there's four queuing systems. Now, she says that there's syntactic, that's step one, semantics, pragmatics, and linguistics. So, what are each of those? So, syntactic cues involve word order. So, like rules and patterns of the language and punctuation. So, like when a person reads the word, they would know if it is a noun or a verb. And these are inferred based on the knowledge they previously have with a language. Some English speaking individuals would find this easier than individuals that have learned another language first. And that could be a problem. So, that is why, as educators, especially since me, a rising history teacher, hopefully, is it's really important that we get the idea across of like what is a noun and like what is a verb, like what belongs to each vocabulary category. So that's very important for step one. Now, semantics are cues that refer to the meaning of a particular word in the language. So like signs, symbols. It really just relies on the listener's prior knowledge of a language. And it's pretty much if you hear a word, you expect it to be spelled a certain way on the paper when that might not be true. And it is very important as educators to make sure that doesn't happen in the class. And that could be hard. That could be hard because students will look at a word, like for example, bologna. It's spelled like bologna to a non-English speaker, and it just doesn't sound right in their language. So they would see certain words in the English language that could mean something else in their current language or how it sounds. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that as an educator, it is our job to reinforce what that word actually means in context. So pragmatics is the next step. And the pragmatic system provides information about the purposes and the needs the reader has while reading. So it governs what the reader thinks is really important, what sticks out to them, and what they should really be paying attention to in the sentence. That could be a problem sometimes if not handled correctly. Because someone could read a passage and it could be right, but they focused on the wrong thing in that passage because of just the fact that they have prerequisites for their language barriers that it just can be difficult. So it really is important as a teacher to reinforce what the student should really be focusing on in a sentence. Like, for example, a non-English speaker or an English speaker, anyone can be affected by this. They can be looking at a particular word in a sentence and putting more emphasis on that when it could just be a reinforcement and not the main focus of the sentence. But that's really just a problem that can occur, but it's just we as educators need to watch out for that. Then linguistics. So really it's just like accessing and like selective employing, if that makes sense, and combining knowledge about how language is structured. It really means, in context, like the three we talked about all put into one. Because you need syntax, you need semantics, and you need graphophonic to unlock the meaning of what you're reading, and that's linguistics. So, and that's why that's so important, because if kids don't understand this, they're not going to know what's going on. So that's why linguistics is arguably the most important, but you can't have linguistics if you don't have syntactic, semantic, and pragmatic. But yeah, it's just really, those are like the big ones that really stick out. And it's really important as educators to reinforce these behaviors in the class. And I have been saying this all video, but it is incredibly important as educators to understand the shortcomings of our students. And not everyone's going to be perfect. I know for a fact, a lot of my friends, including me, we all struggled. But it really is hard for non-English speakers and people that have trouble distinguishing the English language. They could just be English-speaking students, but just have a hard time comprehending text. And it's very important as teachers to recognize that. But since I'm a history teacher, I think it's really big that I focus on historical texts and just make sure I understand the limits of my students and to understand the limitations that some students might have. And it's very, very important to work with them. So I think that's the end of episode 1. Really just solidifying on what the cueing systems are and how this might work for my discipline. Have a good day.